we're selling you a solid wood cabinet, but it could be poplar or it could be rubber wood, which means it's a softer wood. So
not as durable.
Not as durable. They don't address the humidification process right away, so they don't take the moisture out of it. So it'll have more warping, and those things will show up 5 to 7 years down the road.
Oh, interesting.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you have to replace the cabinets, you have to replace your countertops and your backsplash and remove the stove and do everything.
Jylene, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Me.
It's awesome to have you here. There's so many questions. You know, I've been in home renovations myself for personal projects. I've helped clients do it. There's just so many questions if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
I've known you for years, Todd for years, your partner. And so, you know, having you come on to kind of set the record straight,
Cool.
I think is great. So tell me, I know you have a bachelor's in interior design. What was it that first drew you to that interior design space?
I have known that I've wanted to do this since I was a kid.
Okay.
So as a little girl, I was always looking at Architectural Digest, San Diego Home and Garden, always wanting to create spaces. So as a little kid, just developing little land. So I thought I was going to be involved in home building, design, remodeling in some capacity. So finally decided I wanted to do interior design, went to school.
Yeah.
Finished in 2009, which is a terrible time to finish, very scary.
Yep.
And then went to school for accounting, thinking I was just going to do something else that would be a little bit more lucrative at the time. So didn't work out that way. I ended up reconnecting with Todd's wife, Jenny.
Yeah.
And she said that her husband was looking to find a business partner. And I just raised my hand and said, I'll do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So what year was that you and Todd partnered?
That was in 2014. We reconnected over dinner, and 3 months later we were in business.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Over a decade later.
Yep. It's going to be 11 years this coming November.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When you first started at STS, was it a design build firm? Was it a little different? Has it evolved to where it is now?
Yeah, it wasn't design build. I think it was more the traditional remodeling where Steve and Todd met clients that kind of knew what they wanted to do and just said, okay, let us know your specs. Let us know the colors, cabinets, finishes, and then they'll do it.
Yeah.
So it was neat to be able to bring in the design component where I was able to help them with, CAD drawings, doing plans, and then help with the finish selections.
In today's day and age, people are so busy. Yeah. And there's so many, different ways of searching for an interior designer or someone who understands CAD. And then also looking for a contractor that trying to find that could take paralysis by analysis. It may never happen.
And it also consolidates the time too, because if you start with someone else, you have to put hours in, even months in, to really get all of those details knocked out. So that way you can then hand the package over to the contractor.
Yeah.
So we can do it, as you decide you want to work with us. Let's just say we put together, how you want your cabinets to look, because that takes the longest lead time. We select that, and then we spend the time while we're waiting for them to put everything together and layer it all up.
That's awesome. Yeah. So when you first are contacted by a homeowner, what's that process look like? What are the first steps when you meet with them before starting any of the design process?
Yeah, we go in and we meet at your home and we talk about just how you want to live in your new space. What is that you're looking to do? What do you like about the home? What do you not like about the home? Do you want to be able to make it more open concept? So we try to just listen as deeply as we can to hear what it is that they really want to achieve. And then from there, we can kind of take some preliminary measurements and then work to produce a bid. And at that time, I try to ask a lot of questions on, do you have a style? And if you don't, that's fine. I just kind of put together a concept, and then we'd come back with a rendering of what it would look like, just to give you an idea of the bones of the new structure. And then from there, we move forward with all our selections.
Because I would imagine there's people, maybe husbands' opinions differ from the wife's opinions, or they may have style differences, or, there's different just approaches that styles, colors, things that people may want.
Yeah.
So having that rendering can help people visualize exactly what your thoughts are.
Yeah. And just really, again, listening to what it is that each person wants, because they're not all going to care about the same exact thing with the same level of importance. So it's really knowing what each partner wants, what the wife really cares about, what the husband really cares about, how we can achieve that and give them both a little bit or a lot of that. And it's really easy, I think, to kind of then merge different styles.
Yeah. And kind of negotiate between all the different things Got it.
I say we are unlicensed marriage family therapists because we really have to just kind of make it all work because it can be a stressful undertaking.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
As a realtor, I definitely have felt that way too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not licensed, not giving out opinions. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So you guys work with clients that may be doing a full home renovation or could be doing a bedroom addition or a kitchen remodel.
Yep.
It kind of doesn't matter. You guys do all different types of projects.
Yes, exactly. It could be just the bathroom. It could be 2 bathrooms and a kitchen. Again, everything, the whole house, including retexturing your walls, putting in new windows, restuccoing the home, everything.
Everything. Yeah, and you have the capability of doing a little project or a massive project. So that's awesome.
And it really works well just because they can all be in different phases that we can take on quite a few projects.
How much does cost impact the decisions that they make, or how does that impact kind of what the process looks like? Are you first understanding, what their budget is, so you know how far they really go? A lot of people tend to have champagne taste on a beer budget.
Right.
But when does that get discussed?
We try to get to that as soon as we possibly can. We understand that when we first go and meet a homeowner, it might be a little daunting where you may not want to share your budget because you really have to trust the contractor that you work with.
Yeah.
We get that, but I think it really is important to, at least in your mind, if you're not going to share it right away, what is the max amount that you want to spend without stretching yourself to
feel comfortable.
Yes, exactly. To feel comfortable.
Yeah, because I guess somebody wouldn't want to say, "Oh, my budget's $500,000," and then the contractor's thinking, "Oh, great, I've got $500,000,000," and
right, yeah,
when it should only be 200.
Exactly. So we understand that. So maybe not on the first initial appointment, but when we come back and we present a budget, we usually have that conversation with, what was it that you were hoping? Does this meet your budget? And then how can we value engineer if you do want to pull back?
Got it. So if you come back after having that initial consultation and someone says, this is more than I was expecting, then you ask, okay, what is your budget and what can we maybe take away?
Yes. What is your priority? What is it that absolutely needs to be done? And then really educating them and taking the time to understand the age of the home. Have you replumbed your house? Have you repiped it? The sewer lines need to be addressed. Has the electrical been updated?
Yeah.
Could you possibly have some buried J boxes up in your ceiling where there's just hot wires? So we want to really be upfront with those things on what you can expect on where a portion of your budget could potentially go.
And I think that's the perfect segue of the cost per foot of a renovation versus new construction, because it's a renovation can be more expensive
Correct.
than just new construction.
Yeah.
Because there's unexpected things, right?
Yes. And that is it can definitely be more if we're looking at it from that scenario, but how often do you just have the free plot of land? So sometimes remodeling is the way to go.
Oh,
because,
100%. Yeah. And if someone's lived in their house for a long time and it's either paid off or they don't owe much on it,
Correct.
and their basis in the house is very low, it may make sense as opposed to buying a new house.
Correct. Yeah.
To just redo, especially if you love where you live.
Yeah. Yeah. But new construction is easy peasy. If you're going to put in new floors, you just lay the floor down, put the baseboards, you're done. With remodeling, you have to demo it out, address what was underneath it.
Probably find some unexpected things.
Find the unexpected and then put it down. Yeah.
So do you usually have a line item of unexpecteds?
Yeah.
When you're giving that bid?
Definitely. We do talk about it where we say, you might want to hold back or a lot of maybe 5 to 10% contingency just based on the house and what we see. We think that they can expect. Definitely.
Before you give a final bid or start construction, do you do any sort of inspections on the house to understand, there's a good likelihood we're going to have to address this or, things like that?
Yeah. If we're hesitant to move forward, then yes, we go in and we may remove a little bit of drywall in the ceiling or the upper part of the wall to see what could be load bearing if there's something like removing a wall.
Yeah.
So we try to get in and do things like that. If not, we just say, what, based on our experience, we think it can go from $5,000 to $20,000 and to be prepared. And then oftentimes if that's a comfortable level, then we'll go for it and figure it out once we get into construction.
Got it. Yeah. Cause you don't have x-ray vision.
Correct.
And so you don't know, you
Yeah.
can look underneath the house, you can look in the attic,
Yeah.
but you can't see inside the walls. So,
Yeah.
unless you start cutting.
Yeah, that's why it's really important when we put together the proposals, we detail out exactly what is included, and we also write what is not included. So assumes, if we're not going to at this phase go into hiring the engineer to see what it's going to take to remove the wall or whatnot, we would say assumes the wall to be non-bearing, non-structural. But we do like to have those discussions and those numbers thrown out there of what.
Because if you have to go down that road, then you're incorporating another trade.
Correct.
And there's a cost associated with that.
Yeah.
So do you have, because people are so budget focused, do you have certain things that you typically say, oh, here's something that's worth splurging on? If you're considering, let's talk about a kitchen remodel. Are there things where you're like, okay, so splurge on the fixtures, but maybe don't spend as much on a stove, or, I'm just making up things. Are there certain things that are less difficult to change than others? So spend the money now, cry once instead of multiple times?
Absolutely. I love that question. In a kitchen remodel, definitely you want to make sure that you go in with a quality cabinet.
Okay.
Because there are so many different vendors. The cabinets can come from so many different places, and they are drastically different, even if they look really great to the naked eye. So for instance, cabinets that we do like to put into your home, they're either made of maple, cherry, oak. Another vendor can say we're selling you a solid wood cabinet, but it could be poplar or it could be rubber wood, which means it's a softer wood. So
not as durable.
Not as durable. They don't address the humidification process right away, so they don't take the moisture out of it. So it'll have more warping, and those things will show up 5 to 7 years down the road.
Oh, interesting.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you have to replace the cabinets, you have to replace your countertops and your backsplash and remove the stove and do everything. So it's really good to put in a product that is going to last you 25 plus years, because you can get a product that can hold up that well.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's something that makes sense, having the right foundation going into it, because you can change your fixtures later. You can change your handles, pulls, that kind of stuff. But you need to change cabinets. You got to change everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can update the other stuff really easily if it's not in your budget to have, the marble countertop or the Taj Mahal. You can put in a quartz and you can still get a real good life out of that, where it makes sense to invest and then kind of redo some little stuff later.
Does it make sense, speaking of the countertops, for example, is there a noticeable difference between a quartz and a quartzite?
Yeah.
It is? Okay, so tell me, what are some examples of the differences? Obviously, budget's going to be a constraint, but...
Yeah, they are starting to make it look a little bit more natural, but it might be really bright white that might not exist with Carrara marble.
Understood.
So you can really you can see the difference, but the nice thing about the quartz is you don't have to do any maintenance to it.
Yeah.
You just can't put a hot pot on it, but everything else with marble and quartzite... it's beautiful. There is a little bit of YOLO that goes into it, because each stone, you just don't really know the temperament of it until you get into it. So,
really?
They could say you need to seal it twice a year. Sometimes you might need to seal it, once a quarter.
Really?
So you just kind of have to tread very carefully when you first get into the natural stone to see is it going to soak up the water or not.
Yeah. So how does someone know if they need to be sealing it quarterly versus every 6 months or a year? Does it start to show discoloration, or how do you, for someone that's never done it before?
Our fabricator we kind of rely on our fabricators and the people in the trades to let us know, because they deal with it every day. So our fabricator would, if he has a marble and he's cutting it, which he'll need water, and he sees that it's soaking it up.
Oh, got it.
He would kind of say, okay, let's seal this a little bit more often. And I already sealed it 4 times before we got here. So there's some extra measures.
Yeah.
But then you might just need cutting boards
Yeah.
galore.
There you go. Okay. So that's good to hear, at least that they'll know kind of when they're prepping it for installation of this one may be a little more porous.
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But as long as you know, and I'm sure you tell your clients, okay, this is the steps for maintenance that you need to do.
Yeah.
And then it'll last you
Yeah.
decades.
And it really is luck of the draw, because we put in some quartzite, natural stone, held up beautifully. No scratches, no absorption of any type of liquids. And another one, same material, just cut from a different area of the rock, and just will stain from your spinach.
Oh my
It
gosh.
could be devastating.
Yeah. Holy cow. I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine. So so that's something to take into consideration, I guess, if you have little kids.
Yeah.
And you're worried about, them knocking over a grape juice or crayons or something like that. You
And
may
if
want to
you
go.
get to it right away, you should be fine. But if you have a party, lots of wine, cups on the countertop.
Yeah.
You see it later, then it could be a problem.
So what's the biggest myth or misunderstanding when you first sit down with a client that you hear from them?
That you don't need a permit.
Okay.
So everything requires a permit. If your water heater were to break, you'd have to go to the city, or you should go to the city.
You should, yep.
And fill out an application, pay a fee, and replace your water heater.
So if someone is remodeling their kitchen, they're not touching walls, they're replacing cabinets, countertops, appliances. Is that a recommendation or a requirement as far as the city sees to pull permits?
Yeah, as far any type of remodel in your home where you are ripping out and putting in new, the permit is called a replacement of like kind, a no plan permit.
Okay.
You still have to go down and write what you're looking to do, and then.
And can that be done over the counter? Like you go down, you submit it, and they say, "Okay, great, stamped.
Yeah,
you're good."
Those are 1-day permits that you can.
Do those require inspections?
Yes, they will require drywall, and I believe finish just at the very end.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people, whether or not they decide to do it, it's still something they should be doing.
Correct.
Got it. And I assume there's a cost associated with that also.
Yeah, for the no plan permit, it's probably about $700-800,
Interesting.
and it may be a day or two of time where you have to wait for the inspector to come.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
too bad, but
No,
but yeah,
but it's another step.
yeah,
It's another step and something that most people don't realize.
Yeah.
For sure. So how often do you guys get phone calls when somebody's halfway through a project and they've fired their contractor or they've done something where they're like, this has been a terrible experience. It's not what we were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
We need you guys.
More often than we'd like to see.
Really?
Yeah, we do get a lot of the mid-project construction, and it's really heartbreaking because it's usually they're just and maybe it's not always that they're a horrible contractor, but they just didn't communicate enough that you lost trust. So the minute you lose trust, there's opportunity that every step of your project could get scrutinized, or they're just worried about it. So we do see that a lot, and we see a lot of contractors that come in and collect a huge upfront payment
And then disappear.
and just disappear. And you're only allowed to collect $1,000 upon signing a contract, or 10%, whichever's less.
Yeah. Wow. So it's a max of $1,000 or 10%, which is ever less.
Yep.
Whichever is less.
Yep.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, that happens a lot. People get taken advantage of.
Yeah, it happens a lot, and it's really sad, and it's really hard because then when we come in the middle of the project, there is sometimes a little bit of undoing that has to happen, because if we're going to take it on, we're going to warranty that work for you, and we need to know what they did.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Do you think, but I know you said a lack of communication. So do you think that it's just they didn't properly set expectations?
Yeah.
From the start,
Yeah.
here's what's going to happen. Here's what the process looks like.
Correct.
And here's some things that could come up
Yeah.
that would be unexpected.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. Well, I know for a fact, living in a house that was remodeled, living in a house while we were doing a remodel, I guess is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Like we were doing a bedroom addition on this house. This was probably more than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
And I remember Sarah, my wife, and I, before kids, we were sleeping in snowboard jackets. And it was so cold, and we had the dogs on the bed with us, and it was like the craziest experience.
Yeah.
But like we laugh about it now.
Yeah.
Remembering that stuff is going to come up, that there's going to be things that happen. There may be delays.
Yeah.
And, projects don't always go as smoothly as we
But was
hope
it worth
to.
it?
It was worth it.
Yeah.
100%. And like I said, we laugh about it now.
Yeah.
At doing that bedroom addition, we added like 390 square feet. It was amazing. It was an amazing primary bedroom.
Yeah.
And there's just setting those expectations from
Yeah,
the start. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. So what else, I guess, would you say that in your day-to-day comes up, or questions that you're asked, from your design standpoint, or the questions that are asked of Todd as the contractor? Are there things that you're kind of hearing constantly or more often that would be helpful?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely get a lot of questions on schedule.
Yeah.
So that's always a very fluid moving target.
Yeah.
So that's where the communication is really important, to say, we actually wrapped up electrical 2 days early. So our plumber is not available right now to come. So right now we're going to
There's going to be some downtime.
Yeah. So just really getting ahead of that and explaining, we finished today. We'll be back tomorrow and we're going to complete this. So mainly most of the questions are regarding
Scheduling.
Yeah. And what's happening and what's coming next.
When someone's living in the house during the renovation, are they more antsy to get it done? Are they on you more, where are we? How are things coming along? Or is it just really dependent on the customer themselves?
I think it's really dependent on the person, because when you're out of the house and you're paying for a rental, you're just as antsy to get back in.
Yeah, exactly right.
So, I think it just depends on the person. Some can be very easygoing about it, and others just really want to know the day by day and know just the end.
Constant updates.
The final end.
Yeah, so they can get there.
Yeah, which completely understandable. Yeah.
What's your favorite part of the process? Do you like, the initial consultation and the design and coming up with that creativity?
Yeah.
I think everyone likes the end when they get to see the final product.
Yeah.
But for you, what's kind of the most rewarding part?
I am super passionate about it just because I love the design aspect so much. So I get to kind of live out my dreams with everybody's different home, because I like traditional, I like Cape Cod, I like ultra modern. So I get really excited and I geek out at all phases. When we're in the design phase, I love that because it's really great to get the energy between myself and the client and coming together to really be excited about what we think we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then to see that component, and once we get through the ugly, rough electrical, rough plumbing, the not so fun stuff.
Yeah.
When I come in and we see the cabinets go in and we see the light fixture get put in, each little moment I feel is really special and really exciting to see.
Yeah.
Because you see the light at the end of the tunnel coming faster and faster, and you see them starting to just imagine how they're going to live in their home.
Yeah.
So that's really rewarding. It's exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would imagine it can be more difficult to visualize when it's just the studs.
Yeah.
If you're moving walls or you're making changes.
Yeah.
Until it really starts to come together.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a construction.
And it is really nice when they're there quite a bit, so they can see the process and how much work really goes into it. So when you are investing hundreds of thousands of dollars and you see all the efforts that the guys put in, it's a really nice thing to see that they can register all the work that really goes into
That's a good
coordinating that. And
yeah. We talked before about, people's involvement and things like that, but how involved are you when it comes to if they want to pick out the flooring, tile floors and then paint colors, or if it's a bathroom, maybe tile for the shower and then tile for the floors? Are you going with them to the tile places? Mm-hmm. How does that process work?
Yeah, I'm involved as little or as much as you'd like, and I often find it to be a lot. They want the involvement.
Yeah.
So yes,
they appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I'm there every step of the way.
Cool.
So we start at the cabinet showroom. We probably allot 2 to 3 hours to go cabinet by cabinet, how you want it to be, a 4-drawer or 3-drawer, just a door. There's a lot of details that go into that. I go with you to the tile showroom, the slab yard, the plumbing supplier warehouse, and we just select every little thing and layer it all together so that it works.
Yeah. Wow. And which is probably one of the biggest differences between design build and just working with a general contractor.
Yes, definitely.
Is there's so much, all the nuance that you may not even realize.
Yes.
As a homeowner,
yeah,
considering a remodel.
Yeah. And when you're doing a whole house, there's so many details that it's nice to develop that trust, where when I have one more question, they're like, just pick it.
Yeah.
So when you have that trust, that's really cool that you can keep the job going and they know that you're just going to put something in that's going to work with the rest of the selections.
Which helps to expedite and keep the ball moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to homeowners when they're maybe considering wanting to do a renovation? They've decided they don't want to move. Mm-hmm. They want to improve the home that they're in. Mm-hmm. What's kind of the biggest piece of advice that you would recommend?
Well, aside from defining your budget and really sticking to that, I think you really have to go with your gut instinct when you select a contractor. So you should probably interview 2 or 3 contractors and just really get a feel of the people that you're going to be working with, because it is a very personal exchange that happens between contractor and homeowner.
Yeah.
And we're going to be working with you for minimum 6 weeks of construction plus the time that it takes to develop your vision.
Yeah.
So I think when you do select someone that you have a really good vibe with, where you feel like you trust what they're saying, you know that they're going to take care of you, then your project, I think, will always go well, because it's good for you and it's also good for us knowing that you know that we're going to always do the right thing and have your best interest.
Yeah.
So I think it really comes down to just not going with the lowest bid or even the highest one, just one that you really know that you want to work with, that's going to collaborate with you.
Yeah. That you want to actually be on the phone with on a regular basis and have them in your home and be spending the time going to all of the different, stores to pick things out and all the stuff. And that'll ultimately make the process way more enjoyable.
Yeah. And as your contractor, we have to understand it's so personal because it's not just the dollar amount. That dollar amount is also equivalent to your career, your time away from your family, your life savings, the equity on your house, which is a risk.
Yeah.
So it's just a very personal exchange and a real big responsibility that we have.
Yeah. Exactly right. And you I've known you for so long and Todd for so long that I think the biggest difference that you guys have is that you actually care. Yeah. And you want your clients to be happy, and you're not the contractor that's taking a deposit and then ghosting them, like you're there. Yeah. Intentional every step of the way and wanting them to be excited.
It could be a lifetime partnership because it's really rewarding when they call you back. Yeah. And it's really nice to see that we see so many different phases of their life. When you're single and you're buying a condo and you actually have some money to renovate your kitchen, that's really cool. Seeing someone just after getting married and getting ready to have a baby, taking down the walls to do an open concept so that you can watch your kids while you're cooking. It's really important. And then when someone's ready to retire, you boot your kids and you want to live in there until you're done. That's also another time that you can renovate your home. Yeah. We get to see all of it. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's just so helpful to hear straight from you, how that process actually works. Yeah. Because I know that so many of you out there have questions that it's just great to hear it from you and from someone that's a professional. Yeah. And like I said, someone who really cares. Yeah. So
thank you.
If you guys have questions, I'm going to link STS Construction. Jylene's info will be all available to you. And definitely, if you're considering a renovation, give them a call. They're absolutely amazing. You will not be disappointed. Have a great day.